And we're live! Hey everybody out in the YouTubes, especially on my pals at hashtag SPSM. This is at Doc Foreman. I'm the moderator of the SPSM chats, and we've been bringing you some wonderful live events this summer while we're on hiatus. I have two wonderful people with me tonight. I have Mr. Jonathan, it's actually Doctor, isn't it? Dr. Jonathan Singer?
That's right, Dr. Jonathan Singer. Yep, the good doctor's in the house.
At Social Work Podcast, and you can find his wonderful podcasts on iTunes. Can you tell me a little bit more about where?
You just go to iTunes and search Social Work Podcast. There are a bunch of social work podcasts, but mine was the first, and it's, I think, the most popular. So.
Can we hear that? I wrecked it.
What is that?
There we go. Try it again. Say it again. I don't know how I got weird sound.
That's awesome.
Go for it.
Wait a minute. Where's the applause thing? Hold on. We got to applaud that. Yay. Hey! Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So if you go to iTunes, you can just search Social Work Podcast. You can look for the logo. It just says Social Work Podcast. You can find it on, if you've got any of those Android apps like... I don't know, whatever they are, just search Social Work Podcast. You can find my podcast, or go to the website, socialworkpodcast.com.
And so he's going to be talking to us about podcasting, and then one of my longtime internet pals, this is Dr. Mike Sevilla.
Hello, Doc Foreman. Hello, world. How's everybody doing tonight? Yes, I do have a do-rag. There's a story about that, but I will not tell you that now. But people can find me as drmikesevilla.com and Dr. Mike Sevilla on Twitter. Back to you, April.
No, Mike, you've been podcasting for a while, so if somebody wants to hear your podcast and they want to hear your content, because we're not going to tell them everything. They're going to have to do some homework on their own. Where do they need to go for all of that?
Just got to go one place, drmikesevilla.com. They can get you my Twitter feed, YouTube, link, podcast, everything about me, one-stop shopping for all of you, because I love all you people out there, because I'm a giver. That's right.
Dude, the warm fuzzies have started already. Nice.
Come on, big hug to start the show. Come on, big hug.
All right, group hug. All right. Yeah.
You're doing that.
Nice. He's a sound effects guy. Just let him go. He's doing awesome.
I am. I'll start the beatboxing in a minute.
Go ahead.
I was just so excited that I found online like the big fart board, the fart sound board. You can press all the fart sounds. Like, that's the extent of my excitement.
Wow, that's very Ferris Bueller of you. Nice.
I'm very mature.
Nice.
So for those of you who have been watching along as we've been working on developing some of our live vlogging formats, I have a return of everybody's favorite guest from our last show, the Bowl of Interesting Questions.
Yeah. All right, that's fantastic. Nice.
For those of you who've been watching along in our audience, you know that I don't know what question Dr. Singer or Dr. Sevilla are going to get asked next. Only the bowl knows. And the question is, how much do you trust me?
Dun dun dun.
Oh. So we're gonna get started with our first question. I don't know what this is going to be. I just picked one out of random, and we're not even... Which character from the popular TV series House are you most like?
I've never seen that show.
Do you hate Jesus? What's wrong with you?
I'm a Jew. I can't hate Jesus. He was one of us.
Don't worry. We can cut all this out.
TV, so.
We can edit all this out.
It's a good thing we're not live right now.
I know. We're fine.
Okay.
Why don't you watch House like normal Americans?
It must be the Jesus thing, as you... No, I've seen an episode. And what's his name? Hugh Laurie. Had no idea he was British until I saw him on one of those.
That happened to me too. I'm like, what is this guy doing? What is wrong with him?
Did people have no idea you were British? Is that what happened?
You mean for me? No, nobody had any clue. You know, I mean, I'm just talking along. You know, and then it's like, who is this bloke? And then that's it. So I just keep on with my American accent as much as possible.
Nice.
Okay.
Well played. That's good.
Thank you.
So, Mike, have you seen House?
I've seen it a few times, and I don't know all the characters, so I'll say House himself. How about that? It's a nice safe
So
one.
you're an antisocial reprobate who screws with people due to your lack of empathy for the human condition?
Oh my
Did I
God,
just
Mike, that's
Did I
it.
just out myself? Did I? Is this my
Brutal.
last?
Dude.
This is my last Google Hangout ever.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
So you guys have never, okay, so have you never, you've never, this is like one of the most popular dramas about American healthcare, right?
Well, I watched the first season, but I forget all the characters' names now. So.
Well, do you remember what they were like? I don't know if I know their names. These are just questions that were submitted to me. People expect us to know these things. They think we're experts.
Oh, right. Do you guys ever listen to Freakonomics, the podcast? Yeah. Okay. So they have this Freakonomics frequently asked questions, and one of the questions, or one of the things that that The Economist says is, what we do on this frequently asked questions is kind of ridiculous, because nobody can be an expert in everything, and yet here we are pretending to know things that we don't actually know about. And so, I don't know, I feel like I've just stepped up a level to economics, because now I'm just talking about things I have no idea what I'm talking about. I mean, as a white male, I do that anyway, but,
Let's be clear that I just do that because I'm conscious. But we do have, from the back channel, we do have a comment coming in. They say that Mike is definitely Wilson.
Whoa. Okay. That was the semi-normal guy, wasn't it? I think it was, wasn't the one rational guy of the whole show?
Yeah, he's semi-normal and rational, but strangely attracted to House and interested in hijinks.
Well, that is true. I'm definitely into hijinks. So, rock on.
Nobody
channel
knows.
Person is.
Nobody knows why he's so, because you understand, right, that the whole appeal of House is it's really Sherlock Holmes, right? And there's and the Baker Street Irregulars and Watson in the form of Wilson, right? This is totally right. So now Jonathan, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, this sounds like a great show.
Man, we should do some show prep. Oh, man, we'll just,
No. So, okay, so for all of you guys out there in the audience, one of the things that you've got to be really excited about is that, aside from me, all of our guest experts are busy enough and engaged enough in their actual lives that they don't watch TV because they're better than you.
I don't even own a TV.
That's good. Okay, that's a whole different... okay, we have to explore that a little bit.
Well, when I was a small child, my mother... Next question.
Next, you guys, you're really done with this. Okay, so we've decided that Jonathan is one of those people that doesn't own a TV that the rest of us hate, and that Mike is Wilson, and...
Pull out. You have to pull out all the TV questions, April.
I have to pull out all the TV. Golly, but that's people like TV.
Dude, I totally watched TV until 1984. So give me Chip, Miami Vice, Happy Days.
Who are you on the A-Team? You saw the A-Team. I know you.
Oh
saw
my God, I'm totally Dr. T. Yeah.
Dr. T.
Yeah. I am I'm
Mr.
totally
T.
Murdoch.
Did I say Dr. T?
Yes. You would be Dr. T, I would be Murdoch. And I'm just telling you this right now.
Dude, you are so Murdoch. You are so Murdoch. Bum ba dum bum dum dum dum.
And everybody, here is Face.
Nice.
Face. I just pulled it out. We could do Who Were You on Fantasy Island? I could play that game. Dukes of Hazzard and all over that shit. Love Boat, on it.
Oh yeah. I'm the bartender. Isaac Willis.
You're Isaac.
Isaac Washington.
Yeah. I'm Gopher.
You're Gopher. Totally. You're going to become a representative, state congressperson sometime. Anyway. All right.
Is that what he did?
Yeah. He went into politics. Yeah.
Okay. So everybody, next question.
Yes.
From the bowl of interesting questions. Let's pretend that I
bowl of interesting questions.
Wow. So this is the question I drew. So everybody knows that when you're producing a show, that there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens that maybe the audience doesn't know about. When we see regular TV or movies or things like that, there's always sort of your the director's commentary, there's the outtakes, the blooper reel, all that stuff, where people sort of show you and tell you like what's really going on, right?
Right.
So in all of your experience doing podcasts, do you have any hosting like secret confessions, any things like that you want to tell people that really go on behind the scenes that the audience might not know about?
Mike?
Oh man. Well, and I think that applies here this evening. Is that usually the most entertaining part of the podcast happens before the podcast. There's all that. There's this prep area. You're just trying to loosen up the guests. You're trying to loosen up yourself. You're just trying to get to know them a little bit. Maybe they're throwing around some cuss words. Until you get all serious. And that's And to the key, one of the key, this is a little pearl for everybody out there who wants to do podcasting, is that you always record that stuff. Always. Because you never know.
That would have been a helpful tip to have a half hour ago, Mike.
You never know when you're going to be, squeezing that in somewhere. Sometimes people put it at the end, just as a kind of a little reward for people who listen to the whole show. Or some people just release it as a whole different thing. So that's one pearl that I have for people.
But April, let me just say one of the things about that is that those are pre-recorded and then edited. You don't want to do that to your guests and be like, "We're not live, we're not live." They're all like, "Holy crap, what is this stuff all over I've got scabies, blah 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 blah." Like you don't want to do that to. I don't. You don't want to do that to your guests.
Not my secret confessions, Jonathan.
I hear coffee's really good for getting rid of them. So
wow.
Yeah.
So
hold on a second. Hold on.
Folks who didn't know. Right before, like while I was trying to figure out how close to sit to the screen, I just made myself a cup of hot coffee, and like while I was scooting in, I dumped all the hazelnut vanilla coffee on my crotch and burned myself, and now I'm sitting in soggy britches that smell like fragrant Seattle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's my secret confession.
I got nothing.
Anything like that? Nothing like that's ever happened to y'all? I mean,
hot coffee right before an interview? No.
No secret confessions.
No. I mean, I've got plenty of. So one of the biggest confessions that I have is that, I have interviewed probably a half dozen people, and those interviews will never see the light of day because they were so bad. No.
Is the present company included?
Excluded. It has nothing to do with the thing we did at AAS. That is totally going to go on the podcast. It is fantabulous. It's just going to take a little editing. And no, but I'll just put it out there. I read this book. I thought it was amazing. I called the guy up. He was like, yes, I'll totally do the interview. And we went over the questions in advance. And I said, this is going to be about 30 minutes. Short answers. If you want to tell a story that's really interesting, people love listening to stories, something, that illustrates what you're talking about. And he's like, okay, I got it. And I said, was there something that happened that inspired you to write this book? And his answer started out with, I was first interested in medicine at the age of 9. And I'm not kidding when I tell you that, yeah, exactly, I got to do the cricket sound. He just continued to go chronologically from like DNA to that afternoon. It was 45 minutes before he stopped answering that question. I couldn't do it. I couldn't edit it. I couldn't do it. It was just so secret confessions.
Ugh.
Like it was too bad. I love the book, but it's just never going to happen.
Right.
Never going to see the light of day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's been other times too. It happens the other way, where I asked somebody to come on, and I thought I would have them on for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then you just start conversationally, and then you go an hour. So sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes it's one of the best things that happens, or one of your best interviews, and sometimes it's one of the worst interviews. And we're starting to get into that now, as far as things like, when do you cut somebody off? How do you know they're going? How do you know they have like some kind of scripted answer? There's some kind of talking point. When do you kind of know that they're just being boring? Or how do you like vary your voice intonation? Because if they're like flat and really boring, that's tough for me to listen to, and I know it's going to be tough for my listeners to listen to.
Right. So I think we're going to go to the next question here in just a second, but I think the really important piece for all this is that you're telling us is that not everybody is sort of media ready, and if you're the host, like, you're doing your best to help people. You really want, I love these people, I love what they do, so I want them to look great and sound great, but that's not like always equally possible. And so then, like, well, then what do you do? If your guest is boring you, then what do you do? And I wish, yeah, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is that, if you spend a little bit of time interviewing folks, inevitably you get mad respect for people that do it so well, like Terry Gross and those folks that just, I don't know if it's because of their prep, because of what happens before the interview, and they've got their producers like asking the questions, and they take the answers and they turn them into the questions on the air, or if just Terry Gross is just like so into it that she knows what to, obviously she's incredible, but I think that a great interview has as much to do with the interviewer as the interviewee, and I aspire to that. So
absolutely. And we're working on that SPSM, but for those of you who are interested in participating with us or doing these kinds of events yourself, and we're helping the community here, it's a skill set, and not, I didn't wake up and become Johnny Carson. It's like, it takes a minute, right?
All right.
We're going to the bowl.
All right. What was the most surprising or shocking moment that you had in the middle of a podcast recording?
Well, for people in my format, like, I record live and no editing. So usually my most entertaining shows are when there are technical difficulties, when like Skype falls apart and I have to call back into my show, or my guest has to call back into my show, or their phone line. So if the guest falls off the line, I'm either thinking, they're really bored, or they're really having a technical difficulty. So that's the big challenge for me live, is that, how do you kind of like fill that time until they call in, and hoping that they call in and
So what, how do you fill it?
Well, you try to repeat some of the things that they say, encapsulate some of the things that they say, to try to make it understandable to the audience. If they came on to promote their book, to discuss their book, or to make it reflecting on me and say, when I read their book, this is what I said. Or sometimes I say, I go to Twitter and say, we have these Twitter comments, and so
I like to make fun of them.
That is why you're so well respected, Dr. Singer.
Looks like they don't know how to work Skype. Oops. That's great. All right.
Now everybody email me, or now everybody tweet me with what you really think about them.
Exactly.
Nice.
Have you ever have either of you ever had moments where people say things and your eyebrows are going up and you're like, oh shit?
Oh yeah.
I have had people. Sort of along the lines of my last comment, I've had people say things where, like, rather than my eyelids like go up, they just droop, because I can't believe that they can't answer the question, right? Like, it would be like as if you had asked the president of the American Association of Suicidology, like, what are some of the most pressing issues around suicide prevention, and he was like, whew, that's a tough one. I don't know. And you're like, what?
Really?
Like, I've had interviews where the experts say that. But the thing that was most shocking for me is the first time ever that I'm coming out with this is that I did an interview with somebody, and this was part of a national kind of book tour kind of thing. And I was talking with this person about the research that they had done. He or she, I'll just use they because I don't want to identify. So the research that was done, and this person made this statement about how this group of people was like 30 times more likely than this other group to have this thing happen. I was like, wait a minute. 30 times? Are you kidding? And I was, in my mind, I'm like, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be one of those times where the listeners are going to be like, this is incredible. And I was like, I'm going to totally do the journalistic thing, and I'm going to really get to the bottom of this. I was like, wait, what do you mean 30 times? Like, well, 30 times. I was like, but no. I mean, like, but how did you figure out that it was 30 times? And he was like, it's not actually 30 times. More like odds ratios, like 1 to 3. I was like, well, that's not 30 times. He's like, well, hold on a second. Wait.
Math?
And so he's sitting there and he's making, and this was part of the press release, right? And and then he said, I'm gonna have to get back. I didn't actually do this study. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, this was one of my doctoral students. I was like, what do you mean one of your doctoral students did this study that you were promoting on like this national book? I was like, seriously? He's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, I know the data set you're talking about because I have used it for my research. He's like, well, you probably know it better than I do then. I was like, oh. Total Facebook. I could not believe it. Could not believe it.
Did you cut him off and say, oh, hey, thanks for coming on. We're done.
You know what I did? I did this. Gong show, baby. You're out.
Nice.
I feel like, because I haven't done as many of these, I'm sort of waiting for that moment to happen where the guest like really does something alarming, and I'm like, I'm sitting in coffee. I'm like totally gonna try to rescue them. I'm like, yeah, I know, I just farted. I'm gonna like totally like do the look at me and then let's move on.
Yeah. Well, you've got it even harder because you're doing video. I don't do video. Mike, do you do video?
No, I don't do video. I've been thinking about doing more video.
You're doing it now. What do you think this is?
Wait.
Are we
this
are we
on
live?
video?
Are we on?
What? What?
Wait a minute. On here.
On.
I never agreed to this.
No. Hold on a second. I have to put my monocle on.
Hey, everybody, Peanut, get your minds out of the gutter.
Hello.
All right.
Wait, hold on. What's going on? Are we doing another question?
Another question for the bowl of interesting questions. Woo! I don't know how to time the drum.
You're so good. That was awesome.
You're good. You're perfect.
Yeah.
These are like this is like after a week of field studying, people sending me ideas. So I just want to know, like, I just put a bunch of things in here. But the question is, have you ever been in a fight?
Yes, 3 of them.
Does that count tonight or no?
Yes, 2 of them happened within the first week of being in junior high. I didn't know what was going on. I had just come back from living in Mexico for like a year and a half. I come back and I'm like in this like it was GW Junior High in Alexandria, Virginia, and I had like no idea what was going on. All of a sudden, like I was just getting like beaten up. It was awful. So that was 2 of the 3 fights.
So then, like, what happened?
Like I cried, and it was totally embarrassing, and like it just socially mortifying. And then my parents got called in, and the school counselor was like, we're concerned about Jonathan. And they were like, what's going on? And I was like, I don't have any friends. And they were like, oh, you're pathetic. Oh my God. They didn't say that. My parents are great, but they were just sort of like, I don't know what to do with this, so and then time passed, and I made some friends, so that was it.
Oh, that's so, like, what do you tell people now? Like, I know you see kids like in therapy now and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you tell
them? When they're getting beaten up, I
you're like, that sucks, dude.
I'm like, sucks, dude.
Sucks to be you.
Sucks to be you. You know.
How'd you deal with that?
I know. I empathize, and I've never disclosed that I was in that situation, because there's never been a situation in therapy where I thought that could help my clients to address this. But certainly the issues of bullying and cyberbullying are very present when it comes to working with suicidal kids and non-suicidal kids, and so addressing that in the best way possible oftentimes has to do with addressing issues of like self-esteem, self-worth, all those sorts of things for the victims as well as the bullies.
And a jab.
Yeah, and then you just beat the yeah, exactly. So
how about you, Mike?
Yeah, it was not since college. It was after a football game, and then I got tased. I don't know if it was actually one of the fraternity people or if it was a cop.
I saw that video, man. Don't tase me, bro.
And I said, don't tase me. See, he saw it. He saw it.
I know, man. Dude, it was you were great.
Yeah.
You were great, man.
Exactly.
Mad props. Mad props.
No, not everybody knows about that, but now it's out there on the internet forever.
Millions of people just saw you say that.
That's right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Seriously, though, Mike. Seriously.
No, I was too chicken. I would just run.
Really?
I'm a runner. I'm a runner and not a fighter.
You're like, we're watching your fitness efforts like live on the Facebooks, like with the cardio and the speeds happening.
That's great.
And then I go to the winery. So here's to
Ooh.
you.
You're like, let me buy you a drink, brah, right? I'm not cool
exactly.
enough to
Yeah, please don't hurt me. Let me get another Busch Light, Old Milwaukee. You never ran an Old Milwaukee over here, man.
That's great.
Yeah, good times.
If you're gonna bribe somebody not to beat you up, probably not best to be like, oh, I'll buy you a Milwaukee's Best, man. It's awesome.
They're like, no, wait a minute.
Unless they're holding a Milwaukee's Best, then you're their best friend forever.
Right.
That's right.
Situational. It's situational.
Right.
Dude, I love this beer.
No, you know.
Coffee.
You know, like when I was 8, the school bully, her name was Jeannie Horn. I think she still lives in my small town. So hey, Jeannie, if you're out there. And
hey, Jeannie.
Yeah, she like I sat on her like the merry-go-round was empty, but all the kids liked the blue seat, and I was like, oh, it's empty. I'll get to sit on the blue seat. So I went there, and she was like, you're on my seat, and I'm like, I don't see your name on it, right?
Nice.
Right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Didn't just happen today at Starbucks? Aren't you like exaggerating that a little bit? We know what's happening.
No, so she met me after school, and she pushed me in front of a moving car.
Really? That's
Yeah.
so like after school special like. It's awesome.
It was. So like I rolled out of the way, and I like brushed the gravel off my legs, and I'm like totally shaking. But I have watched a lot of PBS as a child, like a lot, because we had a TV, but you know, like I'm a pretty big dork, and so I'd seen a lot of stuff on like Martin Luther King Jr. recently, and about like nonviolent, like passive resistance, and like I'm like, violence is not the answer to violence, and I'm like, Jeannie, I hope you have a nice day. And
wow.
like, right.
Wow. The more you know.
And, right, and since I was like living in the small community, like my dad knew her dad from when her dad was a bully when they were growing up, and he was like, he got a 2 before, and he was like going out to look this guy up, and I'm like, Dad didn't, and I'm like 8, like the only answer to violence is passive, and he was like, you stand up for yourself. Right, it's a terrible mixed message, and like this was such a vivid moment. So I go to school the next day, and the Jeannie Horn was the girl bully, and the boy bully was a guy named Colin Burhart, who I think ended up in like some sort of federal max security prison eventually. Like,
Wait. You had a girl bully and a boy
the
bully?
boy bully, right. So there were like 70 kids, like kindergarten through graduation. They all have names,
Wow.
like they all live in my brain. Like this,
Wait, there were only 70 kids in your school?
in my whole grade, and like we all were together, and almost nobody came or went. Like it was like the same 70 kids. You knew them, right? You had relationships.
Wow.
And I came to school the next day, and he's like, I heard you told her to have a nice day. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're crazy. And like nobody ever, I don't know why, like I probably would have, after that event, probably tried to beat the shit out of somebody. Like especially if they picked on like Like, I would be like the person, like, you might not mess with me, but it, like, don't you fuck with my friend. Like, if someone had tried to screw with one of my friends, I probably would have showed up. Like, and I don't know. Maybe not. Like, so probably what's going to happen on Twitter is everybody's going to be, like, coming on like, oh, April was such a punk. What do you mean? I don't know.
Yeah. That's happening right now.
You want to rumble now? I'll call the ladies of Hog.
There you go.
They're nice people. Don't believe that internet.
So I watched a lot of TV too growing up, and when I would get in that situation, I would stop, drop, and roll. So, but I think that was the wrong thing to do.
Was it Dick Van Dyke? Was that it? Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Dick Van Dyke? Stop, drop, and roll.
Fire safety.
Dick Van Dyke did fire safety?
Yeah, there was that PSA. Didn't he do the, like, if you catch on fire, stop, drop, and roll, like, because it'll put out the fire.
Dick Van Dyke.
Only you can stop forest fires.
That was a different guy
Smokey.
too. I think we're mixing things up.
I think we need to go back to the bowl.
Wow, this is our last question. So this is the closing note. Right? Oh, we're getting this down. So, like, this is your final words of wisdom. So in the last couple minutes of the show, what makes a good podcast good?
Interesting guest who is able to tell stories, who's able to have short, pointed responses, preparation on the part of the interviewer, knowing the material, knowing the guests, knowing the audience, knowing what people are going to find interesting. I don't know exactly that I know what my audience finds interesting, but so far what I find interesting, my audience has found interesting. So those are some of the points that I think are important.
The only thing I would add to that, I mean, I agree definitely with all that, and it just is in this age of social media, is try to reach out to the audience now, and try to have some kind of interaction, whether, before, during, or after, trying to, I wouldn't say get buy-in, that's like a stupid word, but trying to get them interested enough to leave a comment or retweet or something like that. So that's the only thing I would add to all of that.
So, I mean, we're really talking about engagement, and speaking of which, thanks, Dr. Mike. Folks, this is going out live on YouTube, but then this will get archived, and we'll share this. So, like, leave your information. I know, like, and look, it's shareable and shit, and people can talk back. So, like, leave comments in the comment below. Subscribe to our feed. Come check us out on Facebook. Come check us out on Twitter. Because, I don't know about the two of you, I really love doing this because social media makes it possible. I'm not just talking at you. Like, I like to have relationships with you, after the show, right?
That's why I'm doing this.
No, I don't really care. Doesn't really matter. You people.
Hot coffee, baby. Hot coffee.
Follow me, unfollow me, block me. Didn't.
Don't let me stalk you. No, that's creepy.
Wow.
Creepy end of the show. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we're out.
So everybody, this is Jonathan Singer. Dr. Singer, tell us where we can find your stuff again.
socialworkpodcast.com, or you can follow me at SOCWRK Podcast on Twitter. We also have a Facebook fan page. Just go to Facebook and look up Social Work Podcast.
And then Dr. Mike Sevilla.
drmikesevilla.com, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, podcast, stalker. I welcome all stalkers.
FBI alert list.
Big shout out to all my people following me on Twitter. Love you, people. Love you.
They are cool. And I'm at Doc Foreman, moderator of the hashtag SPSM chat. We are on summer hiatus, but look, we're bringing you the fun. Doing some of these new formats. Tell us what you think we're doing right, how you think we can make these formats better. We're really going to work on doing more and more video work and live events as the year goes on. And we're so glad you're with us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.